Somewhere in your bank statement, there is a payment you have stopped seeing, a subscription, maybe a gym you haven't walked into since 2023, maybe an app, a streaming service, a membership you signed up for once and forgot. Every month the money leaves, and every month you don't notice. It has become part of the background. And you didn't forget to cancel. That's the part worth sitting with. You tried. You got to the website, and something stopped you. You made the call, and gave up on hold. Both times the company kept your money. Not because you were lazy, not because you were disorganized, but because the process was built deliberately to make you fail. And the people who built it are very good at their job. The question this video answers is a simple one. Why is it so easy to start paying a company and so strangely, specifically hard to stop? Because the answer isn't laziness or bad design. It's a system, and it's worth understanding. Let's establish one thing first, because everything else follows from it. The difficulty is not accidental. When a cancellation page is buried 3 menus deep, that is a decision. When canceling requires a phone call but signing up took 10 seconds, that is a decision. When a chatbot appears the moment you click cancel, that is a decision, made by someone, for a reason. In 2024, the U.S. Federal Trade Commission led an international review of subscription services across multiple countries. They found that 76% used at least one design trick to obstruct cancellation. 67% used several at once. 3 out of 4. This isn't a few bad actors, it's close to an industry standard. The industry even has language for it. When you try to leave and they stop you, that's called a save. And a save is measured, it's reported. There are people whose performance is judged on how many customers they prevent from leaving. Which raises the real question. If this much effort goes into stopping you, the effort must be paying for itself. So, how much is a customer who wants to leave actually worth? Enough to build an entire discipline around trapping them. And to understand why, you have to understand what's happening in your own head when you try. The cancellation process isn't just long. It's built around specific, well-documented weaknesses in human decision-making. There are 3 worth knowing because once you can name them, they stop working as well. The first is loss aversion. People feel a loss roughly twice as strongly as an equivalent gain. Losing 10 pounds hurts more than finding 10 pounds feels good. So when you try to cancel, the screen doesn't say leave. It says, you'll lose your saved preferences. You'll lose your history. You'll lose your discount. It reframes leaving as losing. And the same instinct that makes you check your pockets for your keys makes you hesitate. The second is sunk cost. The longer you've paid, the harder it becomes to stop. You've been a member since 2019, the screen says, and something in you resists, as though canceling now would waste all those years. It wouldn't. The money is already spent either way. But the mind doesn't accept that easily, and the company knows it. The third is simple exhaustion. The chatbot, the are you sure, the offer, then the counteroffer, then the retention specialist, then the hold music. None of it is designed to help you. It's designed to outlast you, to make leaving so tedious that you close the tab and tell yourself you'll deal with it next month. And here is what makes these tactics genuinely effective. They are not guesses. Everyone has been tested. Which means somewhere, someone measured exactly how well they work. So who is doing that measuring? And how far does it go? The answer is that this has become a profession. There are firms that specialize in nothing but retention. They test cancellation pages the way online shops test checkout buttons. Which wording makes people hesitate? Which button color gets clicked less? Whether framing the exit as, I don't want these benefits, rather than cancel, makes people pause. These are measured, refined, and sold as a service. And the incentive behind it is enormous because of how subscriptions work. A customer who stays 1 extra month is almost pure profit. A tiny improvement in how many people you stop from leaving, spread across millions of accounts, is worth a fortune. Which means, for many companies, making cancellation harder is a better financial return than making the product better. That's the uncomfortable core of it. In a subscription business, effort spent trapping you can pay more than effort spent satisfying you. So the trap gets more sophisticated, and the product often doesn't. If this is making you think about your own bank statement, that's the point. A like helps this reach other people. And you can subscribe if you want more of these. That's all, back to it. Because if the incentive is that strong and the tactics are this refined, one obvious question remains. Is any of this actually legal? And if it isn't, Why is it still happening to almost everyone? For a long time, the answer was legal enough. The tactics sat in a gray area. Annoying, but not clearly against the rules. That has been changing. In the United States, regulators moved directly at this. The FTC sued Amazon in 2023, arguing that the cancellation process for Prime was deliberately, unlawfully difficult. And in 2024, the FTC finalized what became known as the click to cancel rule. The principle behind it is almost blunt in its simplicity. If you could sign up in one click, you should be able to cancel in one click. No phone call, no chatbot, no maze. Now, here's where it gets honest, because this matters. That rule did not have a clean victory. In 2025, a U.S. appeals court struck it down, on procedural grounds, on how it was made rather than what it said. But it did not end there. The regulator has kept pursuing the same behavior under existing law, has continued winning settlements, and has moved to bring the rule back. The direction of travel is clear, even if the path is messy. The era in which companies could quietly assume cancellation would never be their problem is closing. But regulation is slow, and it moves country by country. Which leaves the practical question, the one you actually came here for. Right now, today, before any of that is fully settled, how do you get out? There are two situations, preventing the trap and escaping it. To prevent it, the strongest tool is a virtual card. Banking apps like Revolut and Monzo let you create a disposable card number and set a limit on it. Use one to sign up for a free trial. When the trial ends and they try to charge you, the payment simply fails. There's no cancellation process to fight because there's nothing for them to take. You never entered the maze. To escape a subscription you're already in, the fastest route is the one companies least want to reach. Rather than fighting through their process, put it in writing. State plainly that you are canceling, that you're exercising your consumer rights, and that if they don't confirm cancellation, you will raise a chargeback with your bank. That word, chargeback, carries weight because it costs the company a fee and counts against them with the card networks. It moves the problem from their retention team, whose job is to delay you, to their finance team, whose job is to avoid exactly that. The tone of the conversation changes quickly, and knowing the psychology helps too. When the screen tells you what you'll lose, recognize it as loss aversion and let it pass. When it reminds you how long you've been a member, recognize it as sunk cost and let it pass. Naming the tactic is often enough to break it, because in the end, this is the quiet truth of the subscription economy. A great deal of it is not held up by people who love the product. It's held up by people who meant to leave and were worn down. The direct debit that survives on your inattention. The membership that exists because canceling was made harder than staying. That inattention is the entire business. Which means attention, just noticing, just looking at the statement, is the one thing it can't survive. So here's the only homework I'll give you. Open your banking app. Look at what's leaving your account every month. Find the one you'd forgotten about, and tell me in the comments what it was, and how long it had been running before you noticed.